peoples. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Today's gonna be a little bit different of a video. So, I'm talking to you today all about homeschool.
Hey, hello everybody, welcome to school. I'm Mrs. Awesome.
That's not your name.
Excuse me, this is my school. That is what you will call me.
What we do, what we're doing this year, maybe some confessions of a not so conventional homeschool mom, because I'm definitely that. Check this out. Look at this. Grab mom's water bottle real quick. Okay, homeschool. I know a lot of you guys are either A, it's your first time homeschooling, B, has been homeschooling forever and this is like no different for you, or C, debating on whether or not to do maybe the virtual learning option that is being offered this year, or diving into homeschool. There's a lot of different options, and all I'm basically doing, please do not feel like the way I do it is the way you have to do it. I've found across the internet world is so many people do it so many different ways. It makes homeschooling super flexible. So please do not feel like you have to do it the way that we're doing it, or feel like, oh, well, I'm not doing it that way. Am I doing something wrong? I should start incorporating that because that works really well for them. It is tailored to you and your family. Families are completely different, the dynamics, right? Okay, so I reached out to you guys on Instagram because I wanted to know some of your guys' questions. I didn't just want to spout off like, okay, well, this is what we're doing. Here you go. But I want to be resourceful to maybe some people that have never homeschooled before or just have questions about what are we doing? Start off by this little quote I saw on Facebook, I think it was. And I loved it. I thought it was so fitting for maybe what I'm trying to convey or just putting it out there, right? Perspective, I'll throw it up here on the screen. Perspective. Homeschooling doesn't mean you have to teach everything. It just means that you get to decide what is taught, how it is taught, and by whom it is taught. I love that. A lot of times I think schoolers or homeschool moms get pigeonholed into this like, have to teach every little subject, every little detail, you have to be able to, you have to be talented enough to be able to teach your kid everything that they need to know. And that's just not the case. We have so many resources. We have other talented people in our lives. Whatever means you get there, that's up to you. That's the beauty of it, right? Let's hop on into some of the questions. Why do you homeschool? That was one of the biggest questions, is why do we homeschool? And to give a little bit of backstory, I have been homeschooled my entire life. Like, I know no different. I never went to a public school. I never went to a private school, nothing. My husband, he was homeschooled all the way from second grade, because I think he went to school for kindergarten and first grade, and second grade and on, they homeschooled. We have really been homeschooled like our entire lives. This is what we know. Our family, for what we know, we just love the idea. We like the model. We like the structure of what is homeschool. It works beautifully. And we love being with our kids. We love being able to teach them things, because not all homeschooling is done in the classroom setting or in a book. It's just living everyday life. And that's my favorite. Maybe why we homeschool is the schools in Alaska not good. Tons of options for schooling here. We have public school, we have private school, we have charter schools. We have tons and tons of options here. Just for us, we just have never chose to put our kid into a school type setting. To say that we never will, I will not say that, because life changes. Things come up in your life where you have to be flexible and you kind of have to go with the punches. And to say that I'm never going to put my kids in school, never know. Maybe a different kid is going to require something that the other kid really didn't. So having that flexibility. But there are tons of schools and good schools here in Alaska that you can choose from. How many hours a day of homeschooling do they get? Like, how many hours during the day are we homeschooling? 7th/8th grader, I have a 4th grader, and I have a 1st grader. That's all that we're getting ready to go into this year. For Evelyn and Garrett, my 4th and 1st grader, typically they can get done their studies within like 2.5, 3 hours. But to be able to get through everything, that's about how long it takes. And then they have the rest of the day to, I know Evelyn's gonna have homework this year, a little bit more intensive than maybe in years past, so she'll work on that. Garrett can go do what Garrett does. With Audrey, it takes a bit longer. She's the 8th grader, 7th/8th grader, and hers will take a little bit longer. Hers will take, 4, maybe 5 hours a day to be able to complete her studies. And that's with breaks, that's with including a lunch in there, maybe a get up and wiggle time where it's, we're not really focusing very well. We like to start the school day around 9 o'clock is when I like to have everything kind of wrapped up and us focusing in on our studies. Kids having a struggle in math that day and it's taken them a really long time, we'll put that down and then go on to another subject and then come back and revisit that math. The homeschooling question of all time is socialization. How do you know your kids are getting socialized enough with their peers without being able to go to a school? I'm not super concerned about my kids' social skills. We interact with tons of people. In church, obviously, there's the Awana program, which is an all peer-based type of a program where they're around kids their own age. Swimming, ballet, did CC 2 years ago or so, where they were in kind of like a little mini classroom setting. They did really, really well. But honestly, I find that the social aspect that is tied with the stigma of homeschooling is not necessarily as important as maybe one would think. I heard it from a public school mom. She always thought that homeschoolers were just really like in this bubble and they never got out. And she realized that the socialization of those kids depended upon the parent. It is solely up to the parent on how much you get your kids into. There's so many different options to be able to do different things. It relies solely on the parent on how much they want their involvement. So if you want your kids to be more socialized in the homeschool world, that's totally up to you. There's tons of things you can do. Field trips, swimming, indoor sports, outdoor sports. You can get your kid into anything that any of the public school kids can. So I don't find it an issue with homeschooling. I think it's just each parent's personal choice. Do you find homeschooling easy? No.
No! No! No!
No. There are good days and there are bad days, just like anything else. How do you keep the kids motivated? Help! Girl, I feel you. Keeping the kids motivated can be a definite struggle. You start off that first day where it's like, yes, we're killing it. Pledge of Allegiance, opening song, prayer time. Wow, we're just killing the game. And then about 3 days in, you're like, yeah, I'm ready to be done.
I don't know how they do this. It's been 10 minutes and I'm done. I am done.
Because I've done different things in the past. This year, I'm going to do a lot of a reward system. So I have structured, in a sense, hey, you did really, really good for these past 2 weeks. And I'll have definite, time goals where it's like, okay, you need to be diligent and working in your studies for 2.5 weeks, and you can earn this prize. Or have daily prizes of, you did a really good job today. Why don't you go have screen time? Or you did a really good job today, why don't we go get an ice cream? Having things like that incentivizes my kids. My kids thrive on the earning system of, hey, we have to do this in order to get this. It's kind of like having a job, hey, you do your work really, really well, you get paid at the end of the week. Or you did really, really good and you're excelling, you're gonna get a raise. It's kind of that same principle that we're just kind of translating into when they become adults in real life. How do you work with multiple kids without it taking all day long? I had a lot of these where people were like, how do you do it with multiple kids? So what I like to do, see by my system that I have set up here, is I like to individualize each kiddo's studies, work, everything's their own, right? Evelyn and Audrey, 4th and 7th/8th grade, are very independent workers. Like, they're able to go get their studies and go sit down and do it. a lot easier than say Garrett. Garrett is going to require a lot more hands-on, hey mom, I don't understand this. Hey mom, can you help me with this type of a feel. So what I'll do is structure it kind of throughout my day of like, hey, Evelyn, I know you're really good at math and you have been just killing it and you do it all by yourself, not really any problem at all. Why don't you go work on that? And this is how I'll structure the day. Why don't you go work on that? Audrey does really, really well at writing, spelling, things like that. Go work on that. And then I'll pick Garrett's most challenging subject, like reading, and I'll work with him while they are working on their easy subjects where they feel super confident and they can get through it. If you're dealing with kiddos that need your individual attention all the time, then you're just going to have to structure that in accordance to, okay, I get 30 minutes with this child, 30 minutes with this child, 30 minutes with this child. Or pick a curriculum where you're able to teach them all at the same time. There's tons of those out there where you can teach to those different levels if that's something that interests you, where you can just teach that science lesson and it hits your 5-year-old, your 8-year-old, and your 10-year-old. Those will work too. Do kids who homeschool graduate with a high school diploma or a GED? Good question. For Bert and I, we were enrolled in the IDEA program and we graduated through them, and it's the Galena School District. I also graduated from the Abeka Academy. So I went through what my kids are going to go through this year, have the opportunity to graduate through them or through the IDEA program. So essentially I have 2 diplomas. You don't have to, you can graduate through one of those local programs, like the IDEA program, the Raven program, things like that. Or you can, I'm sure you can even just do it independently and just register to take an exit exam, and then you'd be able to graduate as well as long as you have all your documentation. So you kind of do it either way. You can totally go the GED route, but generally homeschoolers will graduate with a diploma. How do you become a homeschool teacher? In my state where I live, you can become a homeschool teacher tomorrow. You don't have to have any qualifications, any credentials, nothing. If you feel like you want to teach your kids at home, you can totally do that. Now, if you want to be involved in a program that gives you funds to be able to teach your kids, there is an accountability system there where you need to turn in samples of work. You need to give progress reports, things of that nature. So if you do want funds allocated for your school program, you have an accountability system. If you're doing it solely independent, it's up to you. Do you do pre-K with them? I do kind of do pre-K. Is it a structured sit down for this a lot amount of time during the day? No. You'd probably be shocked as to how much you teach your kid when they're that age just by simply living life and showing them, you know, oh, this is $1, this is $0.25, this is $0.10, and just showing them while maybe you're counting your change in your purse, or the different colors at the grocery store, the different fruits and vegetables and shapes. You're teaching them kind of all the time. Now, if you are really wanting to dive in and get them little workbooks and things, have at it. Because I mean, some people just really, really enjoy that. Kind of did. I had a few little workbooks, but for the most part, it was a very loose, not a whole lot of structure, just kind of like, oh yeah, you want to do a page of this today? That'll be fun. Or, hey, you want to try to learn how to write your name? Let's work on maybe some letter formation or getting out little flashcards where they can trace it with their little fingers. So if you want to, go for it. If not, that's okay too. Is Aselus a good program? I liked Aselus. I thought it was super convenient. I thought it was really engaging for the kids, where they were able to watch these little video snippets and answer questions about it. We did that last year, and a lot of that reasoning was because of just the sheer workload of what I have always done for my homeschool. I wasn't quite up to that. I know I had mentioned in a previous vlog about a diagnosis that I had, and I guess I didn't really realize maybe how many of you didn't really maybe know about what I went through, but I was diagnosed last February, so it's been a year coming up on 2 years now. Holy moly. I had saliva gland tumor, which was then a cancerous tumor, and I had to go get that removed in February, and it was just the whole experience, everything about it, it really flip-flopped our world upside down. Like it was an insane time for our family. So being as we were going through that and it kind of hit smack down, like we were just like getting into our routine of what school was, I was like, I have to find something that is a little bit less for me. And Aselus was great. I don't really have a whole lot of writing, like actual workbook writing. I am a sucker for that. And I think it's just because that's how I was taught. That's what I understand. That's what I know. Making sure like the penmanship of it and the flow of it. And I would have liked Aselus even better if like they had to type their answer, so they were gaining the skill of like typing as opposed to just like click and fill in the answer. That was one of my biggest qualms. And then the actual work where you printed it off and did it required a lot of, oh, we have to go find this. Oh, we need to print this off. Oh, well, I don't know exactly what they need for this. It wasn't as clear as maybe as what I was used to. But for that time in our life, it worked fantastic. How did you first get into homeschooling? What was the biggest obstacle? So like I said, I was homeschooled my entire life, so it was something I very much understood and was aware of, and like, oh, this is very normal. This obstacle for me was, and this is kind of like a confession of a homeschool mom, I do not enjoy teaching. Like the actual form of, okay, let's learn your multiplication facts. Let's learn where things are on the map. Let's learn. It was like, oh my goodness, I don't really like doing this. How am I going to be a good homeschool mom if I don't really like to actually sit? I don't know if it's my attention span or what it is, but I get super distracted and I get like I tend to, sometimes I can get very frustrated where it's like, I don't understand. I'm trying my best. I don't know how to do this best. So learning that about myself and then switching the way that I homeschooled as becoming more of an administrative homeschool mom as opposed to an actual teacher. I know that probably sounds so horrible. I loved being with my kids and I wanted to have that schooling atmosphere with my kids without them being away from me. So I was like, how am I going to make this work? So that's how we came up with being able to use the Abeka Academy system. As I was like, because I was like, you know what? I can teach them. I can do it on my own. I didn't. I did enjoy teaching them to read though. Haven't made a dent. I think that was one of my biggest obstacles, was learning my style of teaching, because it was very different than most homeschool moms, and I felt almost guilty of not enjoying that aspect of it. I mean, you're a homeschool mom, don't you like to teach? I mean, I do like to teach in a sense, but I am not your crafty Sally that's drilling multiplication facts. How to keep a toddler busy while homeschooling. Basically, think really, really little segments of like, okay, I've got a half an hour to do this. And you give that little toddler something to do, playing with blocks, Play-Gos, magnets, the fun little building magnets, coloring sheets, maybe even pop on a show for 30 minutes. And you take that 30 minutes and you put your phone down and you focus entirely on what you need to get done in that 30 minutes. And you'd probably be shocked as to how much you can accomplish if you just very intentionally focus on just that half an hour. Another thing is like keeping those special toys or those special things that they really enjoy doing separate, and not an everyday like, oh, let's get into that whenever they want, but it's like during a specific time and it's something they can look forward to, almost like a special treat in a sense of, ooh, we get to go do that, or ooh, we get to play with that, or ooh, we get to watch that show. Set it aside for those times. I think that could help a lot. What advice would your kids give to other kids who are just starting in homeschool?
I know.
What?
Laptops. Like, laptops will get your laptop.
That's the advice you get? Make sure you get a good laptop?
Yeah,
Good
or
laptop.
an iPad.
Or an
phone.
iPad, okay. She's 5 years old. What would you advise? She's just getting ready to start school. What would you tell her?
Fun. Homeschool is fun. It's great. It's awesome. We love being homeschooled because it's awesome. Eat ramen.
Eat ramen?
Our parents were homeschooled, so they decided to homeschool us, and we just love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
Not fun, and it's not like you're not under a lot of stress because like you're not being timed. I mean,
Flexible? You enjoy it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just go into it with the mindset of like excited to learn and just think you can get done school as fast as you want to. You don't have to go on other people's schedule. You can do it as fast as you want. Right?
But if your mom says to come here, you have to stop what you're doing and go to mom.
That's true. How do you keep your sanity? Keep up with each child, their needs in different grades. Thanks. One of the things that is out there so much is like this sense of I have to do it a certain way. If I don't do it this way, my kids are missing out. Like the really like mom guilty. Oh my goodness, my schoolroom doesn't look like a Pinterest post. I'm failing, you know? And I think a lot of the sanity and the mental game, like even just already thinking that you're behind can play into that factor of like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm feeling so overwhelmed because I'm always behind. And it comes down to just giving yourself grace. You have to remember a school setting or in a classroom setting, teacher cannot be with that particular child 8 hours a day, 5 hours a day, 3 hours a day of individual focus. You are able to have, even if you've got 3, 5 kids and there's one of you, you are giving so much time to that particular child. Don't beat yourself up with, oh my goodness, I'm not doing enough because it doesn't look like Sally's homeschool room down the street, or I don't have the cute little stickers and I'm not able to keep all the grading system correct, you know? A lot of that plays into the mental game of the sanity level of homeschooling. Give yourself grace. If you can't grade that test this week, do it next week. Your kid maybe can't multiply as fast as you're wanting them to. Take time. It's okay. They're gonna graduate. Struggling in a certain area where you feel inadequate, ask someone to help. There's family friends that are maybe fantastic at math and you could be like, hey, can you maybe do like a half an hour to an hour lesson with them once a week? Just make sure you give yourself grace, because especially this year, I know there's a ton of new homeschooling parents out there. It's okay. People that have been homeschooling for years still are making little tweaks to their system or not quite being like, oh, this could really improve. That's okay. Not every school runs 100% perfect all the time. Do you have a mix of curriculum? What about activity outside of the home? So I have done mixed curriculum in the past, and this is kind of another confession. I don't love that. I've been good at that. I've never been like, okay, I want this for math, I want this for history, I want them to do lap books, and I want them to do a online math program, and I want them. I very much like the here you go. Here's a set. This is what they're gonna learn. This is what you need to do, and it's all laid out for you. That's me. I struggle with creating a homeschool flower. I like structure. I like being told, okay, you need to complete A, B, C, and D, and then once you do that, cross it all off, and you're good to go. So I have done the curriculum mixture. I think I did okay with it, but we'll see how this year goes. I'm curious. I'll fill you in. I'll let you know. How to start, where to start looking for information. There are so many resources online. I will put some down in the description of ones that I really, really enjoy, of just super helpful, can kind of maybe answer some of your questions. first timers starting it up. I'll put some links in the description of ones that I really, really enjoy. Do you ever feel out of your depth with teaching any subjects? Do you reach out to a tutor? 100%. If I ever felt like I could not teach a particular subject or a skill or something like that, I would definitely reach out to people. It is CD based. Actual teachers on here, and you will sit in a classroom type setting and they will be the instructor. I'll do a little screen blurb here so you can kind of see the structure of what this classroom looks like. But if there was ever a point where they just weren't grasping it on this, and then I attempted and we just couldn't get it, or I know somebody who's a fantastic math person or a tutor or things like that, 100% I'd reach out. Remember, it's not necessarily to teach them everything. The resources in front of my kid, I want them to be able to know how to find the information, whether that be online, whether that be in a book, whether that be through a person that is really, really good at something. I want them to be able to find that, because I do that. I do that on a daily basis. I'm still learning. I'm still having to hunt for different things of like, oh, well, how do you do that? Oh, well, how do you do that? I didn't know what it all went into to entail of being able to make something, like make a garment, make a hoodie, make different things. I had to go and find that and learn on how to do that. Okay, what do you need to be able to do this? Oh, this works really well, this does not. So I want to be able to put that in front of the kids. A lot of you guys are asking for like a rough outline of our day, and I'd be more than happy. I think I am gonna plan on filming like a little like day in the life of a homeschool mom type of a deal, so you can kind of see on how we structure our day. Yeah, let me know if you guys would want to see something like that. First time homeschooling, taking on the challenge with a 6 and a 10-year-old, and I'm scared and worried. Do not be scared and worried. You are so capable to teach your children. You are so capable. The resources that are out there, groups, the networking, you are very, very, very capable of doing this. And if you're not, and you feel inadequate to teach a particular subject or a course, there are people out there that are willing to help you, come alongside you and be like, here you go. Homeschooling is just so immersive. Like, just because you're not sitting at a desk for 6 hours a day does not mean you're not learning. So you don't have to go get a full-fledged curriculum. I'd probably almost recommend not getting a full-fledged curriculum. But if you're structured like me and want like, here, this is what you need, this is a great one. But there are tons, even like little Costco books, the little kindergarten, first, second, you get your kids to go through one of those, that's fantastic. Don't put pressure on yourself. You got this. You got this. And even if you feel like you can't, fake it till you make it, girl. Somebody asked, what are the homeschool laws in Alaska? I live in Tennessee, and it's just a letter of intent and attendance. It's not even that structured here if you're an independent. You really don't have to do much of anything. I'll put a link in the description that kind of discusses maybe our laws or even what's out there of what needs to transpire to be able to homeschool here. Let me show you some of the stuff here. The two little guys, I was able to do this where I would structure every day. So I want my kids to be able to work independently as possible. You've seen it online, you've seen all the things. It's the file system. So basically I structured it out by weeks. All of their books that they need to write in, and I took basically week 1, week 2, week 3, and I just pulled every little piece they're gonna need for that particular day. So this is 1 day per paper clip, and just put them all together. You're able to just grab this paper clip, grab their DVD, grab their headset, grab this, and go. The video manual, all the things. And you even get this if you don't do the video, if you're just wanting to teach solely Abeka. So this is a Christian-based program. So our funding for the state and the program that we're in do not pay for any of this curriculum. And I will be upfront with you, this curriculum is not a cheap curriculum. It is pretty expensive, but for what you get, and even like in comparison to a private school, because a lot of times private schools will use this curriculum, is spendy, but I think very much well worth it, especially for our family. Like the structure and basically I'm a administrator of the studies, individual page per day, and for me, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna remember or have the time, or something doesn't come up and I pull the pages every day. So I went through for the entire year and pulled everything that they're possibly gonna need and paper clipped them together. Then I just have 5 days. So I have 5 days in week 1. And so they just pull, and then the next one, and then they take the ones that they finished, and I have over in my section, turning in their paperwork, done. My goal is to have my kids become very independent learners. Love that. I love having it laid out for the entire year, so I don't even have to think about it. Card systems are new for stuff that we're doing this year, because what I wanted is, for us, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have this super cute schoolroom where we go and we sit. That is not realistic for me. That is not realistic for my life. I am a stay-at-home mom, but I am also a business woman. I run a lot of stuff out of my home, not only with my husband's work, that I help him a lot. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with owning your own business, right? You guys, I mean, you business owners, you know that. You work half days, 12 every day. Carts, they're essentially like mobile schoolroom. Actually probably go downstairs. I have a closet down there that these will slide into, and then I also have, and I'll show you guys this probably just in like a regular vlog. You guys can watch, and I'll just be like, hey, their little school supplies, like their ruler and their glues and their crayons. Abeka does a great job in having like a school list supply that we went off of. Audrey, it's much more intense-a-rooney. There's a lot more studies that she's going to be doing. She's taking some really neat classes this year. She's doing Earth and Space Science. She's doing her Bible 8. She's taking a speech class. She's doing Family Consumer Science, English 7. This is the one that I kept her in 7th grade on, because I felt like she didn't really get as much of the English program as what I wanted last year with the Aselus, especially with the writing. And Abeka is pretty advanced. Like it's pretty advanced. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep her in the 7th grade one. She's gonna do U.S. history and then consumer math, which I'm super excited about. You can opt out. You can either do pre-algebra for 8th grade, or you can do consumer math. And I absolutely loved consumer math when I went through it, because it's real life math. They have equations. Now, if you need to go into a field that requires equations, have at it. But Audrey's like, no, I do not enjoy that at all. And I was like, well, what would you enjoy? She's like, I want to learn like real math. Like what do I need to know to go buy a car? Or what do I need to do to be able to budget correctly? And I'm like, oh, okay. Buying a car, budgeting, income, housing, food, clothing, leisure, banking, real life stuff that I use every day. I love that. Family Consumer Science. This was very much right up her alley. Healthy habits, breakfast, a good beginning, serving with style, let's do lunch, dinner time. So it talks about like kitchen and food safety. Like it's like a home ec class. It's 100% a home ec class. You don't have to do everything that every other kid is doing. You get to pick and choose and be like, ooh, my kid would really like this. There's tons of different electives that you can do. And that goes not just for Abeka, that goes for across, where you can pick. Sky's the limit on things that you can pick. Evelyn is doing, hers is pretty basic, where it's just like she's got her readers. She's doing, she's gonna do My State Notebook, where she learns a lot about where we live and like the different, the neat things about the state. The United States history, she's going to be learning about developing good health. Like insects and plants and birds and matter, energy, oceanography, astronomy. She's gonna love it. Just to wrap it up, just remember, give yourself grace. Make it fun. If you don't get through everything, that's the thing too, is that this is a very rigorous program. And you know, if we don't hit it all, we don't do every flashcard drill, we don't get through all of the homework, that's okay. That's okay. Give and takes, there's good days, there's bad days, and you don't want to have school so rigorous and so demanding that it just makes the kid not want to learn. The goal is to have fun learning and just to be able to get the information and use it. I hope this helps. Sorry it was so stinking long. Give this video a thumbs up if you want to see a day in the life of the homeschool. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye, YouTube channel.